remove the drain plug with a 15 millimeter. Use your 13 millimeter and remove your transmission pan bolts. Next, remove your transmission filter. You'll notice here the gasket that's on the internal filter stayed in the housing. Just be careful when you remove that and don't scratch the aluminum. Can be kind of tough to get out, but just take your time and be careful, but it will come out. With your 8 millimeter socket, go ahead and loosen up all these bolts that are on here, because it'll make it easier to disassemble this once you get it out of the truck. And all the bolts that you see missing are the ones I've removed, except for this one. This is the one that I have in here that's actually holding it up right now. And I'm going to go ahead and remove these two. I decided just to tuck my wires inside the pan and stick 2 bolts just to hold the pan up. So while I'm working on the valve body, and just no dust or anything gets up in there, any bugs or anything like that, just to be on the safe side. All right, now that we have this on the bench, all the bolts that you see removed are the ones that you have to remove the valve body from the transmission itself. It's this one, this one, this one, this one. These 2 short ones that I showed you hold the metal piece on. These 4 here, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and that's all. So now I'm going to, so like I said, I went ahead and broke them loose with the ratchet while it was on the transmission itself. It's going to make the job easier on the bench. Obviously missed those 2. That's why I said it would be easier to do this on the transmission. Okay, now I'm ready to assemble solenoid A and solenoid B. This is going to be A, this is going to be B. This is my discard part, and this is my discard part for B. I'm going to drill out these two holes on the plate. It's going to be, with this supply drill bit, it's going to be this hole and this hole, according to the instructions right there. When assembling these parts, place you a little bit of Vaseline petroleum jelly down into these holes on these parts, this one and this one, and that will hold your ball and your spring in place while you reassemble it. Okay, now you can see we have them assembled. You just take and place your ball in that hole, then you place the little spring in there, and then you put the big spring over the top of it. That's A, and that's B. Okay, now you can see that I've enlarged the two holes with the drill bit. I wanted to show you on the back side what you might hear people talk about, the burrs that are left. You see those burrs that are left on those holes that I drilled out? You'll need to take a file or something, maybe a piece of sandpaper, but just be real gentle with this plate and get those burrs off. Now you can see where I've removed the burrs. I'm going to take this plate and spray it down with some brake clean and blow it off with the air hose, and then start reassembling the valve body. Alright, I'm going to be doing the assembly of the A and B trim valves and the A and B solenoid. This is the A trim valve. It has the ridge right here. This is A. This is B. Notice it doesn't have the ridge in it. Make sure those get firmly seated all the way in there. Install your accumulators back in the holes, just as they came out. Black goes into A. And tan goes into B. I'm going to go over cleaning the pan. Spray it real good with some brake clean. Hit it with some air. Just keep doing that until it comes clean. This is how my transmission pan turned out after I got finished cleaning it. I sprayed it a few times and blew it off with the air hose, and it came pretty clean. I'm pretty satisfied with it. Once you get all your bolts back in the valve body, holding it back up secure and flat on your dowel pins, one thing I didn't mention is when you go to slide this in there, if you'll notice, there's a pin right here that has to go in a groove right here. So just make sure you do that and then get it lined up on the pins, push it up there, put the bolts in. After you've done all that, you want to go ahead and torque all this down to 9 foot-pounds or 108 inch-pounds. Alright, this is that pin in the groove that I was talking about. Make sure that goes back in there. Put this piece back on and torque these 2 bolts back down. Go ahead and connect your wiring harness back to your solenoids. Don't forget about the one that's back there on the back, up under the bottom, the kind of the hidden one. And these 2 clips right here that hold your wiring harness in. Don't forget about those. Reinstall the internal filter. Don't forget to put some transmission fluid on this O-ring. Alright, go ahead and reinstall your pan gasket and your pan. Torque your pan bolts to 20 foot-pounds and torque your drain plug to 26 foot-pounds. Going to be replacing the external filter. I cleaned the magnet off with some brake clean and blowed it off with the air hose. It goes on first. The new filter, take some transmission fluid and rub it on the O-ring gasket. Since I installed a Transgo Jr shift kit and that required removing the valve body and the internal filter and replacing the internal filter and the external, I will be adding 2 3/4 gallons of Mobil 1 delvac ATF. Recommended be used in Allison transmissions. If you decide to do a transmission cooler flush and you have extra fluid, I bought 4 gallons. The top line here is coming from the cooler. So you just pull this cap back, slide it back, and this pin here is what holds that line in place. And mine just pulled off toward the front of the engine, and then you'll pull this line out. Just be ready with a rag and a bucket, because there will be a little bit of fluid that'll come out of this hose. And then I'm going to crank my engine and run it through all the gears and back to park, and then I'm going to turn the engine off and check the fluid level from there. Now here we are. I have my drain hose hooked to my front cooler line. As you can see, I had to drop my exhaust pipe out of the way off the down pipe. I've got that line running over into a bucket, and I will start my transmission cooler flush. All right, go ahead.